Hi everyone, welcome back to the F-Series channel. Today we're doing none other than a tier list. So for today's video, we are doing a tier list all on second drivers. Now we know that second drivers are quite a crucial part of Formula One, and especially within teams, and they really help their number one driver get their championship, their win, whatever. So we thought we'd pick 10 of our favourite second drivers and put them in a tier list of how good of a second driver slash wingman that they are. It'll make sense when we get into it. Before we get into it though, be sure to like the video, subscribe. We'll make sure the tier list link is in the description box so you can make your own. But are you guys ready to do this tier list?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm a bit savage.
We're gonna really get into it. Right, okay, let's have a little look at this tier list. So first we have got none other than our Alex Albon. Now we know Alex Albon is of recent times, and we know that he was the wingman to Max Verstappen. What do we think about how good he was as a second driver?
I don't want to be horrible to him, but I do think he's in the bottom one of the bottom two. I really do.
Oh, bless him. I don't think he did. I don't think he never intentionally made life difficult.
No,
but he kind of did, because he was never quite where he should have been. You know.
He was struggling a little bit. Didn't quite understand. He didn't understand the mission.
Yeah, I think when he swapped with Pierre, it would have been a completely different story. He might have put him a bit higher because he actually did pretty decent. But based on the last one, I would honestly put him in was having done a bit, and I'm so sorry, but I would.
I don't think
he was
wouldn't.
That bad.
Yeah,
because that implies it was like he purposefully was just like, no, I don't want to be a second driver. Whereas he was just not up to par. So even though he didn't make life difficult on purpose, I feel like he's in that one because he did the job. Red Bull comfortably ended up second in the constructors ahead of Ferrari. Even let's just not forget that Ferrari just wasn't anywhere to be found anyway. But they were second in the constructors, so he did what he needed to do. Really,
I would say made life difficult, because I think that Red Bull could have been higher and they could have challenged Mercedes like they have this year, last year, if Alex would have kind of picked up a little bit. What do we think, Dawdy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he definitely did make life difficult, and not even just in races. Like, he made life difficult across the whole board, like with just, should they keep him, should they not, constant discussions. He made my life difficult because I had to listen to Sky News every week asking if he was doing good. Like, my life was very difficult during the whole Alex Albon era.
Oh my gosh. Okay, right, let's put him in made life difficult then. Sorry, Alex.
Poor Alex.
We do love you.
We do love you.
Right, next we've got David Coulthard, and he was a second driver mainly to Mick Hakkinen in 98 and 99. Again, part of that Red Bull fam. What do we think about David Coulthard?
I don't know, man. Someone else go, please.
Yeah, he was a good second driver. I mean, you're aiding one of the best guys in Formula One. You're not there to challenge him, but he was always there. And then once he joined the Red Bull fam, he was really integral in that. But obviously that's not really what we're talking about. So we'll just go back to when he was wingman. And I think he did a good job. I mean, he got what needed to be done. And he helped Mika get his titles. So what more do you want?
I think wasn't awkward, man, was he?
No, I was going to say, I don't think he kind of caused too many dramas or had too many issues that I know of kind of over the course. Definitely wasn't a mark that we're coming on to later.
Yeah, I think he did a pretty good job. Like, he didn't argue. He did what the role is. He helped get championship. He got podiums as well. Like, he got points as well. So it's not all like he didn't actually score points, because he did. So I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Should we put him in pretty good number 2 then?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's put him in there. Perfect. Right, next up, Gerhard Berger, who was the second driver to none other than Ayrton Senna. This was mostly in 90, 91 and 92. So, how do we think, Gerhard Berger?
Love you, Gerhard. Love you.
Yeah, he's a bit of a ledge, isn't he?
Yeah.
Can't lie.
I would put him in top tier.
Whoa!
I would go as far as top tier because he and Senna just had this great relationship. For those of you who don't know, they were like the Carl Lando of the 90s. So they just had this really great relationship, and it translated on track. He helped Senna get his championships, and I just really liked their relationship. I think it wasn't difficult at McLaren. They just I mean, he did his job. And this is what I keep saying for them all. They did their jobs, but they did. And I think the fact that they had a good relationship as well off track meant that they were really respectful and good with each other on track as well. And I don't really think you could get any better than that.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, I definitely agree with everything Steph's just said. I think my only counter to that would be that did Senna actually need a number 2 driver? And of course he did, because everyone, like, it's a team sport, so you do need a second driver. But I think does that make sense? Like, Senna is Senna. He would have been amazing with regardless of if he'd had a number 2.
Yeah, he didn't really challenge him.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to
say.
say.
Like Valtteri and Lewis.
Yeah.
I would put him in the top because I think he, like you said, Steph, every single aspect of what you need and like personal relationship outside, it's very much like very similar to Carlos and Lando dynamics. So I would put him top tier as well.
Yeah, God tier wingman then.
Yeah.
God tier wingman. I like these tier list names.
I know. I'd thought that I had my own little 2 brain cells. Right, next up we have got Sergio Perez, who's probably one of the newest in this list, and we are looking at him being a second driver to Max Verstappen. Obviously he's only done half a season, so we can only judge him over a little time, but again, kind of similar to Alex, he didn't have that much time either. So Sergio Perez, how do you think he's done?
I think he's done the job. I don't think we can say much more at this point in time because we've not seen too much, but I definitely think he has done the job. He has very successfully helped Max Verstappen be a winner, but he's equally gone out on his own and won on his own, and has shown his own pace. So I don't know if it got a bit closer and the cars did level out and the more comfortable Perez gets in the car, if it's going to start to get a little spicy, because Perez definitely does have the capacity to be a race winner. Mm-hmm. But he's definitely done the job as a number 2 and he's very willing. I think he understands the name of the game at Red Bull and understands that you definitely need to be willing to help Max Verstappen out.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because obviously I can't remember what race it is. These 2 races get blurred in my mind. It's either France or Spain. I think it was France maybe. I think he was like, I'm going to let Max go, and then he was like, go get them, and I was like, to go get Valtteri and go get Lewis, and then he ended up getting Valtteri as well. So he's playing the team game, which is everything that you need, and like you said, he's got points as well, he's got podiums, so yeah, I think he has done the job, but obviously we can't judge him too much. It's only been 11 races, but from what we've seen, he's done pretty well.
Yeah, I'm going to counter a little bit and say that I don't think he's doing as well as he should be doing as a number 2 driver yet because, well, Silverstone wasn't the best weekend for him. He obviously had the issues in the sprint race, which then cost him in the actual race. But when your lead driver isn't there, a number 2 driver needs to be there to reap the rewards that the number 1 driver doesn't pick up. And so Checo wasn't able to do that, and then obviously got taken out at Hungary. I just need him to be there a little bit more like at Baku, but have Baku being not a one-off and have it be more consistent, that he's consistently there fighting for podiums, because between him and Valtteri right now it's like who's going to be the 3rd guy on the podium, and I just, for Red Bull to have a more successful second driver, he needs to be consistently more there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
they've done the job.
Done the job, because
I think Dawney was going to say something. I think we're going to say the same thing.
Oh no, go on.
I think we was going to say at Silverstone he was going to get like P7, P6, but they pulled him in to get fastest lap from Lewis.
Oh yeah. See, my brain doesn't go back as far as Silverstone, so I can't remember that. But very true. But I mean, at the end of the day, those are the sacrifices you take for being at Red Bull.
Yeah,
to be completely honest with you, they are going to do them games with you. They aren't just going to leave you to do your own thing. But yeah, I definitely don't think he made life difficult, and I don't think he's quite a pretty good number 2. So done the job. I think. Yeah, happy with that.
Yep.
Definitely. Right, next we are moving over the pond and we are going to Mercedes, and we have got Valtteri Bottas. Now we know Valtteri has been at Mercedes for the last 5 years or so, and he has helped Lewis Hamilton get pretty much most of his championships. How do we think Valtteri's done as a second driver?
I mean,
no one wants to talk first.
I thought we'd have more comments on this. I've got loads to say.
Kieran, you go first then.
What have you got to say, Kez?
I was just going to say, I honestly think Valtteri Bottas has been a very good second driver. I think there has been certain situations where he'll make it slightly awkward, but very, very rarely. Maybe like 1 or 2 races in the year, and even that, he'll probably hold Lewis up for about half a lap, and then he'll let him go. But I think if you look at every situation, Valtteri has done what he's been told to do, and I feel like they have a good respect with each other. Obviously, I don't know whether that's going to change maybe at the end of this year when either kind of he knows he's going to be out, maybe, obviously we don't know yet, but you know, that's what we think is going to happen. So I personally think, you know, he has wingmanned the greatest driver of all time statistically, so I think he's been a god tier wingman. I don't know where else you could put him. I don't think he's been awkward. I think he's been a really great second man.
I disagree with saying god tier, and the only reason I'll say that is because last year, I'll use this, but last year Lewis Hamilton won the Constructors' Championship on his own. Valtteri could not have raced throughout the entire season and Lewis still would have won. And I just think there's been niggling little bits over time where he's been like, oh, okay, to whom
it may concern.
And I just think he's not been completely compliant. And there have been these niggly bits, and they overall haven't really affected what the results end up being.
But that's a good thing, because he didn't really need to then, did he?
Exactly. But I don't think we can say necessarily he's god tier, because there have been these little niggly bits, and Lewis Hamilton is great on his own, so... I don't know.
We said that Ayrton Senna was great on his own, and we put Gerhard Berger and got tier. So
because I love Gerhard.
But
I'm agreeing with Steph. I'm tending towards.
Oh, exposed there.
I'm tending towards Steph's side of this argument, because I definitely think, yes, he's been an amazing number 2 to Lewis Hamilton, but it's equally, Lewis Hamilton hasn't had any competition bar Valtteri. Every single year we've discussed if Valtteri or Lewis is going to win, because it's going to be in the Mercedes that's so dominant that's going to win. And Valtteri's not really put up a fight. He's not really done too much. And it's not... Is it that he's a number 2, or is it just he's the second one there?
Ooh.
I see, this is really difficult, because I really agree with Kira. But then, over the past 2 seasons, like you said, there's been bits niggling at me where I'm like he is very much, I want to fight now, I think. Like, I think there's
too late.
Yeah, obviously too late, but there's been some races this season where they were like, oh, can you let Lewis, or last year, can you let Lewis by, and he hasn't. Or he has, like, 3 laps later when it's a bit too late for Lewis to actually get past. But then you look at the things where it's like, literally, Valtteri James let Lewis pass, and he has. But I think just from the last couple of seasons, I would say pretty good number 2. If he hadn't done the niggles, I would put him god tier, because he has helped that team really well and played ball. But just the last couple of seasons, I would put him in pretty good number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and even just looking at this season, like, let's throw it back to Imola, where he was nowhere to be found and about to be overtaken by George Russell in a Williams. Also, let's throw it back to Baku, where he wasn't able to make it through the pack throughout the entire race. Like, there haven't been standout performances. Like, as a number 2 driver, your job is to be there. And being down, not in the points positions, that's not where a number 2 driver needs to be. So I think he's falling off a little bit. And even though I do think he's done a great job overall, there have been these little bits that just pull him down just to the second category. So I'd conclude.
Cool. Okay, so next up we have got Mark Webber, who was a famous second driver to the Sebastian Vettel. And again, Sebastian was kind of in a similar situation with Lewis, where he was getting all these championships in, you know, one after another after another. How do we think Mark Webber acted as a second driver?
Multi-21 Seb.
Yeah,
multi-21. He was having absolutely none of it.
He wasn't.
I mean, it's so hard to, because obviously quite a few of these drivers that we're discussing have been kind of the number 2 driver for numerous years, and we're trying to compare people like Alex Albon and Perez, who've been a number 2 for half a season through, I was going to say, limited fault of their own, compared with people like Mark and Bottas, who've been solid blocks of time. And of course, if you're someone's number 2 driver for 5 years, you're definitely going to get sick of it by the end of it, or you're just going to be like so complacent into that setting. So I think Mark definitely was a amazing number 2 driver to Seb during the early years. Like, they did have a good friendship, but towards the end it deteriorated and became one of the spiciest teammate or rivalries in he just was having absolutely none of it and was not willing to help Seb by the end of it. But again, that was partly down to his treatment at Red Bull.
There's a common theme here, isn't there?
Common
Lovely.
theme.
Yeah, there is. I feel like we need to cut Mark in half and be like, well, half of you are up there and half of you
Yeah.
is down there.
Yeah, I really don't know, because like you said, like he was a good second driver, but then obviously by the end of it, like we said for Valtteri, you're gonna get fed up.
Yeah. Where do we think we should put him then?
The thing is, he was half of the team that took Red Bull to 4 consecutive world championships, so I'm inclined to put him in like pretty good number 2.
Yeah, but I think
let's cause some spice. Put him in having none of it.
Alright, fine. He did the job.
I was going to say he'd done the job, just because you could put him up there for the good stuff he done, but again, you've then got to put the cons against it as well. So I would say done the job, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say done the job too.
Okay, so next we have got none other than our Martin Brundle, who we will now most likely see on our TV screens presenting. But before that, he was in Formula 1 indeed, and he was a second driver to Michael Schumacher in 1992. Now, obviously, Martin is his first to say that he wasn't the greatest Formula 1 driver of all time, but he did love it, and he loves talking about it now. But how do we think he done as a second driver to the famous Michael Schumacher?
I think it's difficult to say because 1992, did you say they were together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because Schumacher wasn't at the point in his career where he was, winning all of his championships and stuff. So it's not really the same kind of level like Mr. Rubens Barrichello, I'm sure we'll move on to. So it's not really kind of at that level, but at the end of the day, Martin would never have been able to challenge Michael Schumacher anyway. So I think that's also, I feel like we've got a lot of common themes, that he just wasn't a driver that was ever going to challenge Michael Schumacher anyway. So was he a second driver, or was he just there? Like Dawny said.
Well, when I done a quick Google before this video, he does come up as a commonly known second driver, so that's why he's made it onto our list. But I guess it is difficult because, again, it was only 1 year, and obviously it was in the 90s, and we all are very young girls, and we were not born, so it's very difficult to put him into perspective. But I'm sure he would have done the job, to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't there, as we said. So I'm I wasn't. I can't believe it. But I wasn't.
I'm disappointed.
I know, but I'm sure he. I
feel like he was probably pretty good.
Yeah, I would say even pretty good number 2.
Good. And if he
never
wasn't,
had any bad stories, did we, about it? Like, it's not a thing, is it?
Don't think so.
If not, then you guys can let us know down in the comments below.
Yeah.
Anyone who was alive.
Give us an update.
I'm sure you won't hesitate to correct us if we are incorrect about anything that we've just said in this entire video.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. We are going all the way back to the 1950s now. And this is Sir Stirling Moss, who is most famous for being probably the best driver without a world championship. And in this case, he was second driver to... Oh my God, I was going to say... I don't even know how to say it. I was going to call him Juan Manuel Correa.
I thought you were going to say Guan.
No, I was going to say Juan Manuel Correa. No, Juan Manuel Fangio. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, not you, Correa. You were not born then. And this was in 1955. So, how do we think he'd done as a second driver to the famous JMF?
Do you know what? I've just heard lots about how Stirling Moss was a great second driver in general. I think there's a story that I heard about him getting out of his car and giving his car to a teammate to finish the race. So, I mean, that's not allowed nowadays.
Imagine it.
But could you imagine if it was? Nobody on the grid nowadays would ever dream of, like, giving their car to a... Like, no, it just wouldn't happen. So I think that selflessness that you have as a second, that wasn't even for the good of the team, really. It was just a selfless act that you do. And I don't know. I've heard so many good things about Stirling Moss and how he kind of was as a second driver, and it speaks volumes as well, because he never won a championship himself, but was always there for the other people's. He always was in second, in third, like. That's the definition of being a second driver, really. I just think he was great. Like, power to Sir Stirling. Love you. Mwah. Peace. What am I doing? Oh, God.
I think just from Steph's argument, he should go in God tier. Just from Steph's argument.
Yeah, I mean, she seems to know.
My argument is just that I love all of
Love
these.
them.
That I love all of these drivers.
Oh my god. Should we just put him in God tier then, just because he was a legend?
Yeah,
And he obviously
we
was
love
a
him.
second driver. I mean, obviously, as we said, we didn't watch it back then, but to be the guy that was such a good driver but never got this championship, he was obviously doing something in terms of wingmanning or whatever to his teammates for them to be able to have got that over him. So, yeah, let's put him up there as God tier wingman, shall we? Let's just do it. We don't know. We've only got 2 left. Anyway, next we are moving on to Felipe Massa with his Ferrari days, and he was a second driver to Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso. So he you know, he's got a bit of a record there. He's got 2 drivers in the top team at Ferrari. How do you think he'd done as that second driver?
I mean, he was second driver for 2 drivers, eh?
I know.
I just love Massa.
Even with his
Recently.
little balding head, bless him.
I just wish he'd got the title, but he didn't. Heartbroken.
No, to be fair, I think it definitely speaks as well as to how good he was. Like that Ferrari team, that the caliber of drivers was great at that point because he was in contention for a title as a kind of guy who was deemed as the second driver.
Yeah.
So I think he was great.
Yeah, I think he was great as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think he done some good stuff over there, and I think, you know, he was never difficult. I think he got on with it. He was kind of there to...
Fernando is faster than you.
Iconic, really. I don't know if I'm going to put him as good tier because I just don't think there was... I don't think Fernando and obviously Kimi, they're never quite done like we could say Ayrton Senna done or even Lewis Hamilton done. So that kind of makes me want to put him in maybe pretty good number 2.
Yeah, I think that's a decent shout.
Yeah, okay. Let's put him in there then. God, we're loving our pretty good number 2s today, aren't we?
Yeah, they're all in there, bloody hell.
I know. And finally, we have got the main man himself. Leaving the best till last, we have got Rubens Barrichello, who was just an iconic number 2. But as we probably will most commonly know, he was a number 2 to Michael Schumacher in his days of his World Championships. Wow. What do we say about this man? Because I love him.
Whack him up in God tier.
It's the only place he can go, really, isn't it? Has anyone got an argument to
It's
put him
where
down?
he belongs.
I don't have any argument.
No.
Let's
Pop him up
also
there.
forget he assisted Braun to their World Championship
Yes, he
in
did.
2009.
Big
so
JB.
Rubens, he has done a lot, and he is one of the iconic ones. What was that race where he had to let Schumacher pass, but then Schumacher like pulled him onto the top step of the podium because he was like, "You deserve that win." Like that is what a selfless number 2 does. Like I could if I thought of a number 2 driver, it would be Rubens Barrichello. Like it just is.
Yeah.
Like he is the personification of it.
Yeah, and he's such a good person as well. Like he's not malicious. He's just he just lives life. Like every time I see him, I'm like, you're just living your life. Do you
Just
know what I mean?
vibing.
He's just straight up vibing.
Yeah,
I don't
him
think
at
there's
the top.
much more argument. I think we just absolutely love him. So yeah, he's definitely God tier. Like right at the top of God tier. He is the definition, as you said, of a proper second driver. So there we have it. That is our final tier list on second drivers within Formula 1. As I said, we just picked 10 of the most... Did I even pick 10? I hope there's 10 there. We picked 10, I think, of the best second drivers and the whole of Formula 1 history, and we've made a good tier list. And actually, we've put no one in was having none of it. So everybody has played their role. Some people made it more difficult than others, but overall, I think that's a solid tier list. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
decent.
She's
Yeah.
decent. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel down below, and let us know in the comments what you would do with this tier list, whether you agree, disagree. As I said at the start, the link to this tier list will be in the description box, so you can make your own and maybe send it to us, and we would love to see what you've done. But yeah, thanks again for watching this video. We will see you again soon for another F-Series Friday. Bye.